I was just swept up. I just couldn't stop reading it. The truth is, I wasn't a big reader. And actually, I didn't even want to read it. And the librarian told me, well, it's about a girl just like you. And I opened it up and I saw the word October. My birthday's in October. And I said, oh, I'll give it a try. I just wasn't that keen on reading it. And I started reading it. And actually, it was a dark and stormy night. I was in our home, and the windows were open, and the Santa Ana winds were blowing, and the wind would come through. And when I was reading it, it was a dark and I just completely got into the setting of it, and I was so identified with so much in the story, and I just was swept up in, thinking about galaxies and time travel. It wasn't really time travel. It was like the folding of time. I just loved it. I loved the ladies. I loved the kids. But I think the thing that just really got me was that a little girl could do something her father couldn't do. I just thought that was unbelievable, particularly a little girl who was trying to get rid of her faults.
And especially in that era to be reading that message.
Oh,
something we got as
yeah,
well.
definitely. There were no stories that really got to that moment, and that she had to go back and rescue her brother was very powerful. And so I loved it. And even in 1979, when I was trying to get the movie made in the very beginning, the image of women was changing. I mean, this year that A Wrinkle in Time came out, or the year that she won the Newbery Award, was the same year that Betty Friedan's Feminine Mystique was published. So there was this whole new shift about how to look at women and young girls. And so it was very empowering for my generation, I think, and subsequent generations. Mm-hmm. Saw a lot of things, making different choices. I also saw the real importance of a budget to get what you want on the screen, and I also felt that it wasn't the dream. It wasn't the conversation I had had with Madeline L'Engle for years, and so I really wanted to get it made in the way in which I thought it deserved to be made. And so there were a lot of conversations, and also just even watching the film, where you learn what works and what doesn't. So I think also a lot of people said it couldn't be made into a movie, and I think the TV version proved that yes, it could if it could be made right. So that was good. There were probably many things because I really loved so much about the book. There is this one piece in the book that I really wanted to see, and we couldn't do it in the movie. And that is when Mrs. Whatsit, you see that Mrs. Whatsit was once a star, and she's fighting back the darkness. And Charles Willis says, that was you, you were once a star. Oh, I didn't want you to know. I really had always envisioned seeing this great cinematic battle of this big light that supernovas and the darkness recedes. And that just wasn't, in the vision, so we didn't have it. But there's I guess this is one moment, that's it. Oh my gosh, it look, when you're 11, you do feel like an oddball. You do feel like you're not really accepted, and you're not quite sure why. You think on the one hand it's everybody else that's kind of like clueless. You don't see yourself maybe contributing to it. And, everything is pretty black and white. You don't understand the gray, you don't understand faith, you don't understand a lot of the things that Meg has to learn on the journey to find the courage to ultimately save her brother. And I think that from my 11-year-old self, that this young girl was actually able to take on this evil force and to save her brother, and then have that glorious Tesser home completely changed and going into the light. That's pretty powerful, I think. And so I do think we got that from the book into the movie. So I'm excited about that.